We reunited in Lower Manhattan, devoid of phones, computers, or anything else that could be used to track us. The dingy internet cafe buzzed with the hum of ancient computers and the chatter of patrons as Bastian, Regina, and I huddled around a flickering screen, scanning through photos of the Voynich's correspondence. The air was thick with the stench of stale coffee and the acrid tang of sweat, but we barely noticed, our attention focused solely on the secrets unfolding before us. Regina shot a disapproving glance at Bastian, then turned to me.
Amalia, I can't believe you're still trusting this guy after those videos he posted. He's clearly not on our side.
Bastian scoffed.
Oh, please. Like you're one to talk, Miss Mysterious. You come out of nowhere with your secret feminist cult and we're supposed to just take your word for it?
Regina's eyes narrowed.
It's not a cult. It's a society with a long and proud history. And I'm not the one spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories online.
Bastian leaned back in his chair, a smirk playing on his lips.
Conspiracy theories? I prefer to think of them as alternative facts. It's called playing to your audience, Regina. Something you and your little club might want to learn.
Regina's face flushed with anger.
Boy, please, you keep telling yourself that.
I held up my hands. Enough, both of you. We're supposed to be working together, remember? Fighting amongst ourselves isn't going to get us any closer to the truth. Bastian and Regina glared at each other for a moment longer, then grudgingly turned their attention back to the screen. I could feel the tension simmering between them, but for now at least, they seemed willing to put their differences aside. I could feel my brow furrowing as I navigated the labyrinthine threads of the Voynich forum, my frustration mounting with each passing minute. I can't believe this, I muttered, my voice tight with annoyance. I'm trying to report a credible story, and instead I'm getting wrapped up in YouTuber influencers, internet ninjas, secret societies, and psychedelics. It's like I've stumbled into a Joe Rogan podcast episode. Bastian chuckled, his eyes shining with mirth.
I wish I had his subscriber numbers. Maybe this story will get me there, even if it does sound a bit far-fetched.
Regina shot a disapproving look at Bastian, then turned to me and spoke in a taut tone.
Far-fetched or not, we can't ignore the evidence piling up. Look at this.
She pointed to a digitized photograph of Ethel Voynich's notebook, where detailed notes of her research filled the yellowed pages.
Ethel, with the help of experts, identified both cannabis and poppy among the plants depicted in the manuscript, and the poppy, in particular, has a long history of use in religious and mystical traditions.
My eyes widened as I scanned the notebook, my journalistic instincts kicking into high gear. Could the poppy be the psychoactive ingredient in the lost Kikion recipe, the Eleusinian mysteries, the cults of Demeter and Persephone? They all have ties to the poppy. Could the Voynich Manuscript be a lost guide to these practices? Regina nodded, her face as serious as a heart attack.
It's definitely on the table. I mean, have you seen how many poppies are all over that manuscript? And the text, even though we haven't cracked most of it yet, keeps referencing PRG. That's Hebrew for poppy, according to some of the ninjas who've taken a swing at translating it.
Bastian leaned back in his chair, his brow furrowed in thought.
It's like a puzzle piece falling into place. The Friedman suggested the Voynich language was an invented one, not simply an encrypted version of a known tongue. And that German AI researcher, Kondrak, found computational evidence pointing to Hebrew as a potential base language. If the Hebrew word for poppy really is all over those pages, as Ninja Monica Yokubinas claimed, it could be a significant clue.
I sighed, massaging my temples as I tried to process the barrage of information. Seeking clarity, I reached for Hathaway's annotated copy of the Voynich manuscript and began flipping through the pages, focusing on the enigmatic illustrations. As I studied the images, a particular motif caught my eye. Women holding what appeared to be poppy capsules. One illustration in particular reminded me of a Minoan signet ring I had come across during my research on the origins of Demeter. The ring depicted a goddess holding 3 distinct poppy capsules, and the similarity to the Voynich image was striking. The Minoan poppy goddess was considered by some scholars to be a predecessor of Demeter. Intrigued, I searched for Folio 66R, the page that Jacobinus had identified as mentioning the word poppy an astonishing 37 times. As I located the folio, my gaze was drawn to a small, curious image tucked away among the text. A naked figure, either male or female, lying in a posture that suggested sedation or a trance-like state. The pieces began to fall into place in my mind. The preponderance of poppy imagery, the mentions of the plant in the text, and the illustration of the sedated figure all pointed to a deeper connection between the Voynich Manuscript and the use of psychoactive substances in ancient religious and mystical practices. I wondered if the manuscript was more than just a compendium of botanical and medical knowledge. Perhaps it served as a guide to the very rituals and ceremonies that form the heart of the Eleusinian mysteries, and other ancient traditions centered around the transformative power of the poppy. As I shared my thoughts with Bastian and Regina, I could see the excitement and realization dawning on their faces. We were unraveling a mystery that stretched back centuries, a secret history of altered states and hidden wisdom that had been carefully encoded in the pages of the Voynich Manuscript. I scanned Dr. Hathaway's annotations, wishing we knew how to decode them, and that's when a sudden realization struck me, my eyes widening with shock. Bastian, Regina, look at this. I laid the manuscript on the table, pointing to Hathaway's dense scrawl in the margins. Hathaway's annotations. They look like they are encoded using the same type of book cipher as Ethel's letter to Elizabeth. Hathaway's family, the Friedmans, were indeed the key. Regina gasped, her hand flying to her mouth.
My God, you're right. Hathaway must have used the gadfly to conceal her discoveries, just like Ethel and Elizabeth. Do you have the book with you?
I did, but before I could respond, Bastian's head snapped up, his eyes narrowing as he peered out the grimy window of the internet cafe.
Guys, I think we've got company.
He gestured towards a pair of burly men in dark suits, their eyes hidden behind mirrored sunglasses as they loitered outside the entrance. My heart raced as I quickly gathered up the manuscript and our notes, shoving them into my bag. We need to get out of here now. They must have tracked us somehow. We made our way to the back of the cafe, slipping through a dingy hallway and out a rusted emergency exit. As we emerged into the alley behind the building, the weight of our discoveries hung heavy in the air. My mind reeled with the implications. A lost manuscript, its secrets hidden in plain sight. A web of connections spanning centuries, from ancient mystery cults to the pioneering work of the Friedmans and the enigmatic Dr. Hathaway. And at the center of it all, the poppy, a flower with the power to unlock the doors of perception, to offer glimpses of a forgotten world. We disappeared into the labyrinthine streets, the weight of the manuscript heavy in my bag.